So I bought the cheapest laptop on eBay that said it was working, and let's open this and I'll show you what I've got. And this is it. It is a Geobook 1E, and it cost £20.99, and postage was £3. And as it said in the listing, the charger is not included, so I'm going to need to find a charger. Also, it's got no operating system, but apparently it works. It's got an Intel Celeron N4000. It's got 4 gig of RAM and 64 gig eMMC. Now look, it switches on. My plan is to install Windows on this and see if it's any good, if it's actually usable and can do anything useful. On the side it's got USB, it's got a power connection, it's got a small HDMI, and this looks like USB-C. I don't know if that means it can be powered by it, but I might give that a try because that'd be useful, because I can't remember where I've put my multi-power adapter. On the other side we've got another USB, headphone socket and micro SD port. Underneath there's not much to see apart from a Windows logo, serial number, some speaker holes. I've plugged in USB-C power. Looks like it's actually powering it, so that's nice. So apparently to get it to boot into USB, I hold F7 when this Geo logo shows. Select the USB, see what happens. I've put Chrome OS Flex on this. Don't know if it's going to work. Well, we'll give it a try. Got Chrome OS Flex on the screen. And welcome to Chrome OS Flex. This is quite surprisingly easy. I'm going to try it first. I suppose I could install it because there's nothing else on here at the moment, but we'll just try it and have a look. I don't know if sound's going to work. We've got Wi-Fi. Now it's going to tell us we've got a weak signal. We've got Bluetooth. We've got screen brightness. Google Assistant unable to find. No thanks. Got a light theme, dark theme, auto. Let's go for light. And we're all set. Wow, we have a working Chromebook effectively for £20. obviously not the quickest thing in the world. Storage management, so we've got 4 gig of RAM. So we've got YouTube up, sound's working.
I think some of you shallow-minded criminals might think, oh, we have more Tana now. The fact is, he does look better than me because I have no 3D pop.
As bright as it goes. Volume's a little bit quiet.
Plexiglass-made lens with very little purpose in life. So my first impressions of this.
So we're just watching Camera Conspiracies. Good to watch if you want to know about cameras. And the screen quality's not too bad. I mean, viewing angles aren't great, I suppose. They're not too bad. And you can always get it to a good angle. Or a good enough angle. And the keyboard, as you can probably guess, is quite plasticky and bouncy, but you can type fairly quick. For the money, I am kind of surprised by just the fact that it works. I think probably one of the most obvious flaws I can think of with this is the trackpad. Doesn't feel great. But you can always plug in a mouse if you want. And I think the next thing I'm going to probably try and do is install Windows 10 on this and see how that performs. Okay, so I've got a Windows 7, no, not Windows 7. Got a Windows 10 USB. Gonna try and install Windows 10. Is it 64-bit? I'm guessing so. Celeron N4000 is a dual-core 64-bit processor from 2017. It operates at 1.1 gigahertz, has a burst frequency of 2.6 gigahertz. It uses 6 watts. As far as I can remember from reading online, I think, oh, this is Windows 11 on this. As far as I can remember, this laptop came with Windows 10 Pro S. I'm not sure, but let's just go with this. I don't know if this is going to work because this is a USB stick that I there we go, there's our internal storage. This is a USB stick that I is a Windows 10 originally, but I've put the Windows 11 image on. So it looks like we're going to be seeing if we can install Windows 11 on a Geobook. Geobook was originally designed or sold to schools in the UK during COVID, and they were designed to be a low-cost option so that people could have a computer at home when they were studying at home, when all the schools sent everybody home to study online. It came with Windows, and I think a lot were probably returned. people bought Chromebooks instead, or laptops from HP. I think one of the interesting things about this laptop is I think it's got a full HD webcam, but we can check that when we're in Windows, which is because it was designed for using Zoom, so people could see a good quality image, but which is quite a you buy a brand new laptop today and they've only got a 720p webcam, which is ridiculous considering everybody uses Zoom, everybody uses Teams for web meetings, online meetings, and why is the webcam in laptops today still only 720p? I don't know if I'll cut all this out, cut all this rambling out, or leave it in. Depends, doesn't it? Some people say they like these longer videos. I'm just talking, but yeah, it depends how long it ends up being. Filming this in 4K for some reason. I'm always surprised how quickly it can install Windows when it's from a USB drive. I mean, it doesn't seem to take very long at all. So the reason I chose this laptop was that it's got 4 gig of RAM, it's got 64 gig as its main boot drive, it's got a Celeron N4000 processor, and I was looking for the cheapest Chromebook type laptop, and Celeron N4000 was one of the better processors. There were a lot of sort of other Celerons out there, and the performance was really quite poor, and this seemed, slightly better. It's not going to compete with a modern processor, I guess, but for a Celeron, it seemed like it was reasonable. I've not seen this before, actually. I think the last time I installed Windows 11 I did it as an upgrade or an existing running system. Is this interesting content? I doubt it. So this might be quicker. And what's it called? Geobook. Yeah, it's looking at it. Yep. Yeah. Oh, look at that. We have got Windows 11. So we have got Windows 11. We've got 2 cores. Oh, it's a Celeron N4020, which is ever so slightly better than the N4000. For my cache, memory 4 gig. We've got a generic 64 gig drive. I wonder if I've got any tools on this USB drive. Yep. So I've got Crystal Disk Mark and Crystal Disk Info. Core temp. Should we have a look at that? So there we go, we've got a 50°C CPU. Should we do a quick speed test on the main drive in this? It's 167 megabytes a second read. That's not too bad. .147 megabytes a second write speed. That's not great, but it's not terrible. Be slower if it had a hard drive in here. Let's have a look at disk info. Wonder if we've got sound working. We don't appear to have sound. And Crystal Disk Info doesn't find a disk. What I'll do, I'll connect to Wi-Fi if we've got Wi-Fi drivers. Yeah, we've got Wi-Fi, and I'll see if I can update any drivers, get the sound working. But we've got Windows 11 running. Let's look at CPU Z. Why not? That'll tell us some more stuff. Kind of looks quite I don't know, the resolution looks reasonable. Got 1366 by 768. I suppose it's quite small, so the text looks quite crisp and small. Celeron N. That says it's an N4000. The other bit said it was N4020. Oh, there, N4020. Got a to be filled in by OEM manufacturer of the motherboard. Default string. Model numbers. Gemini Lake host. Memory 4GB DDR4. Doesn't tell us anything. Graphics, that's not the right driver, I guess, so we need to update that. Just a quick bench. Getting 395, 400 multi-processor score. Let's see if there's a reference anywhere near. Core 2 Duo E8500. It's a little bit worse than that. Cool. Let's have a quick look at this while we run this. It's running up to 2.7 gigahertz. And the maximum temperature was 62. 6 watts. Well, colour me somewhat impressed. Sort of neat little laptop, similar in performance to a Core 2 Duo E8500, 4GB RAM, reasonable well, it's not an SSD, it's an eMMC. Yeah, I'm going to connect this to the internet and see if I can get drivers working. Play around a bit. Okay, so we are currently using the webcam on a Geobook. I'm still downloading drivers for this, graphics drivers and sound and everything else. And it does indeed have a 2 megapixel webcam here, and it looks okay. I've had to put another light on behind the laptop, and yeah, you've got a 2 megapixel webcam there. With webcams, they always benefit from a nice bright light shining, so without that light it's a bit darker, but that's it's quite a soft looking image. It looks better on the camera screen, and yeah, it's got a reasonable webcam. Probably be a different story if I was recording directly to this. Might be installing the display drivers now as they're being downloaded. And the camera app has just quit on me. So I can't really do a video without taking this apart. As you can see, this is very much a fingerprint kind of trap with a sort of soft finish. It's got 4 screws at the front, 2 at the side, and then longer screws at the back. There's 4 along here and then 2 under these little rubber feet. So take that off. It's got some metal heat kind of spreading stuff, I guess. It's got speakers here. Battery 4,500 milliamp hours. Feels like it's gonna split in the middle. And then we've got an extension here, and the main board here, which is pretty small. I'm going to take this off and have a look underneath. So we've got 4 screws here. I'm thinking this will just remove this heat spreader. Hopefully, well, we'll just see what's underneath here. Got this fabric attached here. This looks like the cable for the screen. Should probably disconnect the battery so that it's definitely off. Whoops. The battery disconnected. Looks like this will be the Wi-Fi cables, speaker connection, maybe, oh. Glued down. Underneath, got a squidgy thermal pad for the main processor. Guessing this is the memory. So very little here. I'll reapply some thermal paste to this. There's nothing really to see, there's no writing. It's soldered directly onto the board. Really very interesting there. There's some decent weight to this heat sink or heat spreader. I'm just going to put some thermal paste on and put it back together. One thing I have noticed is that there's this thing here called the HDD connector, and it looks like this might support an additional drive. Other than this, I can't see there being any way to upgrade this. So I've now been using this Geobook for, I don't know, about a week now. I've used it for word processing, I've used it for internet, I've used it for watching YouTube, streaming stuff, and it's working really well. I had to get the sound drivers from the Geobook website and install those manually, but after that I haven't had any problems. The battery life's pretty good. The main, I guess, cheapness that you can feel straight away is the keyboard. But I've been able to type quickly, and yeah, in terms of value for money, this is quite impressive. So this is WebGL aquarium, 10,000 fish, getting 25 frames per second. You know, it's got reasonable performance, and I think that's kind of why I chose the Celeron N4000 processor as what I wanted to use. There are a lot of different processors out there, some of them quite low end, and this was sort of where I saw performance being reasonable. And you know, you can stream YouTube, and I watched Linus Tech Tips. They tested some old laptops, and the way they were doing that was seeing if they could stream 4 different things from YouTube, and this, you know, can do that fine. Using Chrome here. And it's also fine with multiple tabs. I opened about 42 the other day and then got bored of opening tabs. But yeah, it's perfectly capable of being used as a laptop. Considering the price, you know, is quite good, and the battery life. Been fairly impressed with that. That's helped by the low power processor, which uses about 6 watts. So I'm streaming 4 videos. It says I've got 1 hour 34 left. Let's get rid of these. You'll see that, you know, I'm not struggling to move around windows, do different things. And another thing, if you wanted to do some light gaming or use some old gaming games from the past, then it gets a reasonable 3D Mark 2000. Yep, 2000 score. And I'll just give you a quick look at that. So this is 3D Mark 2000, and I'm sure you've probably seen this before, so I won't play a lot of it, but yeah, this is a benchmark from, you know, the year 2000, so very old, but it gives an indication that this does have some 3D performance. So any games from around this area should play fine. And I won't go through the whole thing on video, because otherwise we'd end up with a much longer video than needed. But yeah, overall, you know, these Geobooks are okay if you're paying a very low price for it, and you know you've got a fairly basic use case for it. It's great that you can just use this and not need to worry too much about people stealing it or it being worth, you know, £500. It's obviously not. And yeah, it's simple, easy to use, works fine. It's got a mini HDMI, which is annoying, but an adapter is about £2, and I've used that and that's worked perfectly, hooked up to a big TV. Can't really complain. It's surprising how effective this laptop is at doing the job of everything, well, almost everything I need it to do. I wouldn't use it obviously for video editing or anything too strenuous, but just for word processing, the internet, streaming, etc. It's pretty good, and for the price, quite impressive. And a note on processors, I would try and avoid anything lower or slower than a Celeron N4000, and you can compare the general processor performance on a website like Passmark, and you can compare processors on there. So yeah, you can sort of just use that as a guide for, you know, whatever you're looking at, whatever laptop you're looking at. And it's kind of a good starting point to look for something like a Celeron N4000 or higher, depending on your needs. And as usual, thanks for watching. Click subscribe and leave a comment, and check out some of the other videos. Bye!